Freshman year, it was definitely an interesting experience to say the least. Friendships, drama, homework, and the most shocking part was the jump from middle school to this massive sea of teenagers. It was overwhelming. I hadn't really thought about how intense high school would be, at least not socially. But then it hit me. There are stories and rumors surfacing about the girls in my class. They were being spoken about like objects. They were being rated, ranked, and put on lists. But they weren't even really rumors half of the time. They were just made up or twisted stories. And some were started by boys I went to middle school with. I just remember feeling so gross, uncomfortable, and utterly disappointed. Sophomore year, it got personal. A random boy followed me on Instagram. At first he complimented me, but right after, he made me question my worth and made me wonder if what all guys wanted truly was sex. Junior year, it was the SAT day. The room was pretty quiet except for the two boys that were in front of me. They were telling each other how they would go to college just to get girls pregnant and then leave them. I felt really uncomfortable. Like they were just speaking about women like this out loud with no shame. And the guy who said that was someone I once went to middle school with. To see him talk about women in a way he never would have, it made me wonder, is this how all guys talk about women when we're not around? Or clearly, even when we are?
That night, I didn't touch her. I could have touched her, but I didn't. I had a knife. She was scared, but I didn't do that. I could have touched any part of her body I wanted to. I really wanted to, but I didn't. Most boys would have touched her.
Take the show Adolescence, for example. A show about a young boy who murders a young girl named Katie for, in simple terms, rejecting him. I believe his murder symbolizes the sense of control tied to these ideas of manhood that were pushed onto him through his peers, social media, and possibly his father.
How has Andrew Tate become relevant? Do you want to be a real man? Real man's not on Instagram, doesn't count his money on a Ferrari, doesn't end up in prison for sex trafficking, so he gets outwitted by my mate Greta. And he doesn't talk to 11-year-old boys about sex. That's what Andrew Tate's doing. What real man does that? All right, 11-year-olds, do you want to know how to dominate women?
An online figure who gained popularity on social media, Andrew Tate, he has millions of followers, and most of them are impressionable teenage boys. Unfortunately, I can recall a time where boys in my class were repeating lines that he once stated about women in a very derogatory way, and I couldn't tell if they were joking or not. What made me more uncomfortable was the fact that the teacher did not speak up. Not a single word. It was as if it was easier to ignore them and to pretend like it wasn't a big deal. Once again, the boys run away with the excuse, boys will be boys. My experiences definitely weren't isolated. These were just pieces to a much bigger problem of toxic masculinity. I think the problem stems from men themselves too. And also men suffer from other men, you know? Masculinity in itself isn't the bad, but when it's weaponized and it's used to dominate, dehumanize others, or to be silenced, that's when it becomes toxic.
I feel like another idea that you've kind of opened my eyes to is this validation cycle. Mm-hmm. It's like men need to have that sexual interaction to feel validation, and then women need to give them that to feel validation from them.
Yeah.
But when they don't, they feel like they keep needing to do it in order to get it. Mm-hmm. And it becomes an endless cycle that I feel like really can't be broken unless something is done about it. Let's say, obviously it's not just a problem on our campus, but if it starts small, it'll keep growing.
And I think what you mentioned about both parties, basically being satisfied, the guy will usually what you see is the guy pressuring the girl, or if his needs aren't met, he'll just have an emotional outbreak or even aggressive or violent outbreaks. So many of them grew up with phrases inflicted onto them such as, Be a man, don't cry, or man up. They weren't ever taught how to express their pain or suffering, only how to hide or numb it. But this just redirects their emotions onto others, causing outbreaks, and they're encouraged to reach for the only thing that's been told to make them strong, which is control, even if that control comes through violence.
And for the girl, that creates a really, obviously an unsafe scenario, but also this, like, just dangerous situation that's kind of embedded in them. It's hard to stand up against things like that when there's so much, it feels like there's so much at risk for, like, doing a simple thing, you know?
So this isn't just a girl or a boy problem. Toxic masculinity impacts everyone. It traps emotional freedom for guys, and for women, it's difficult to work around an environment where it feels like the safety and comfort of women isn't valued. Both things leave both parties feeling disconnected, but that doesn't mean there isn't hope. Because we can choose to have these healthy conversations and hold each other accountable. We can challenge these harmful beliefs that are inflicted upon us as a society. Most importantly, we can create a safe community. Once again, I'll bring up the question: where do men have a safe space? We can begin building it.